Get ready to share it.
We're live, brother.
Welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports. I'm Ryan. Bill is here with me, as always. Going live about 25 seconds early today to make up for the fact that we've been a combined 25 minutes late the last few weeks. Balance. Life's all about balance. And speaking of balance, that's what the Flyers have been bringing recently, a very balanced team, very balanced attack led by none other than the captain, Claude Giroux, who is on a 6-point streak to start the season. I believe he has 5 goals, 2 assists.
Not to mention Cam Atkinson.
Yeah, Cam Atkinson, the addition of Cam Atkinson is huge. That's one of those trades that we touched on a little bit when it happened. I think both teams are going to end up winning because of team needs. And I've touched on it before. Jake Voracek is an outstanding playmaker, but we just did not need any more playmakers on this team. And Cam Atkinson's fitting right in. Rasmus Ristolainen, making, one of the toughest plays I've seen in a while, taking that puck off the face. Blood smeared all over his visor, and he didn't go straight to the bench. He finished out his shift, and he ended up playing big minutes in that game. So, Bill, you want to touch on the Flyers?
Yeah, just a little bit. The Ristolainen puck off the face thing was very Leperrier-esque, and when it happened, everybody cringes when you get hit in the face with a puck. You obviously don't know what's going to happen. He isn't signed, so we're hoping for the best in that scenario for the Flyers. But the fact that he was just like, yeah, I'm going to keep playing my shift. I'm going to come back out. I'm going to do my thing. And the addition, like you touched on the Cam Atkinson addition, but the addition of Ristolainen has been extremely, extremely valuable when he's been on the ice.
Yeah, no doubt. The overall chemistry of the Flyers looks very different. The whole top line looks better. TK looks great. Couturier's got 9 points in 6 games. Hart struggled a little bit in his first start. We talked about that a little bit, let in quite a few soft goals. But the offense is clicking. Outside of last game, in which they won anyway, they've 4, 5, 6 goals a game, and they're nonstop. They're relentless. This team just looks so much different. The Fab line, they've been called, Farabee, Atkinson, Brassard. That line needs to stay together. I don't care when Hayes comes back. If they all need to drop to the third line together, if Hayes becomes the third line center, it doesn't matter what happens, but they need to stay together. They've been producing big time. And just all around great play, and this is without Ryan Ellis the last couple games because he's been hurt too, and he was supposed to be the big addition. So, and as the old man touched on here, playing great on the wrong coast, the Flyers are notorious year after year for playing awful on the West Coast. And right now they're 2-0. Vancouver's no slouch. They played great defensive hockey that night. And then they came out firing against what was the other? Edmonton, the high-powered Edmonton offense led by Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. So they have played great hockey over the start of this season. And this is exactly the kind of statement that they needed to make after the way last season kind of went down after the COVID bug struck the team. So this is a team that I'm looking forward to watching here in about 4 hours. And it was not like that at all last year. So I will definitely be taking time out of my day whenever I can to watch this team. And side note, I've worn this hat at work when they've played, four games, and they're 4-0, and they've scored a combined 19 goals in those 4 games. So
yeah, so right now the Flyers are sitting at 4-1-1 with that 1 overtime loss. They still gain a point, which is huge. They play the 5-1-1 Calgary Flames tonight at 10 p.m., as Ryan has already mentioned, 4 hours from now. But yeah, so like Ryan already pointed out, if you have an opportunity to watch this team, they're finally exciting. I believe this team is far closer to what they showed us in 2019 in that round robin than that 2019 team was. So again, they're exciting to watch. They're I think poised is a great word to utilize here. Is they're poised, they're calm, they're controlled, and AV has them playing fantastic to start the season.
And I touched on this earlier. It was a full off season for the first time in 2 off seasons, and with all those additions being made, that's key too, because they had enough time to maybe gel together a little bit. Like I said, Atkinson fits like a glove with this team. So, and who knows if that would have been the case with a shortened, off season, but it's just, it's an exciting team to watch. It's exciting to talk about. I'm happy that we can lead off our show talking about how the Flyers are 4-1-1 and for the most part dominating some of these teams. Whereas, speaking of dominating, I think they have 5 fights in their first 6 games. When was the last time you saw that happen? They're bringing back a little bit of the Broad Street bullies here.
Been years, yeah. As it sits, while we're excited that they're 4-1-1, They have they are fourth in the Metropolitan Division behind the Canes, who are undefeated, and the Capitals, who have 3 overtime losses but are technically undefeated. But I mean, these are teams that the Flyers have played well in the past, and I don't think that's going to change this year. I think the Flyers will continue to play those teams well. So I mean, where we're sitting, that it's a good division to sit in, to play in, and I think the Flyers could really. I know we had discussed with Frankie from the Nitty Gritty. We discussed Eastern Conference Finals, and to start the season, they've shown that when I said that, it wasn't just me blowing smoke. They look real good, and I'm excited to watch them. Like I said,
is it possible to sustain 4-1-1 every 6 games? Probably not. They're riding a little bit of a hot streak right now, but that's how this season goes. You got to ride those hot streaks as long as you can. Another tough test tonight, like you said, in the 5-1-1 Calgary Flames. But yeah, the Canes being 6-0, they're off to a great start. And the Capitals, they just refuse to lose in regulation. So with the way the point system's set up in the NHL, overtime losses don't hurt you nearly as bad as regulation losses do. But it's still early, and we've played the Capitals pretty well over the last couple of years. Even, in our losses, we've looked pretty good for the most part. So we'll be talking about the Flyers more to come on our weekly shows, and hopefully it's all good things.
Yeah, but I mean, how could we not open the show and talk about the Flyers, even though we're talking primarily football lately?
And then we got to touch on the World Series before we get into football too. Braves go up 2-1.
I was just about to bring that up before we move into NFL. Atlanta Braves almost make history last night. Almost have a combined no throughout the entire game. It's broken up in the bottom of the 8th inning. I forget who broke it up, but the Braves look real good right now. All of the country, all baseball fans right now are rooting for the Braves outside of obviously Houston. We said this last week. We said it the week before. Go Braves!
6-0 at home in the postseason. The Braves are.
Their bullpen ERA is 3.18, which is apparently a record for the postseason bullpen ERA.
That doesn't surprise me because 3.18. You look at it and you're like, that's not really a shabby number, but I'm surprised that that's a record. Think about how much bullpens pitch in the postseason. Ian Anderson threw 72 pitches last night. He's the first rookie in MLB history to throw 5 no-hit innings. And they yanked him after 72 pitches. It was a bullpen game after that. So bullpens are way overly utilized, in my opinion, but the strategy seemed to work for Game 3. So hopefully whatever the Braves got coming works for Game 4 too, because I'm not rooting for the Astros.
Like I said, I don't, outside of the general Houston area and maybe some fair weather fans across the country, I don't think many people are rooting for Houston. And that's right. I called you across the country fair weather fans. I said what I said. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, at this point, you got to be. However, props to Houston for, everybody, shames them, embarrasses them. And this year, they kind of just said, okay, we'll show you guys we can do it, without cheating. And for now, there's no evidence that they are cheating. But they made it to the World Series with all kinds of adversity against them. So, hats off to those guys. However, nobody's rooting for you. So hopefully you lose.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much that's all we can say about that. Like I said, let's go Braves.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so the reason that we came on the show today, to talk sports, as Ryan pointed out on our Facebook post, that's what we do, talk sports, amazing world we live in.
What a time to be alive, guys.
So Thursday night's game was a great game. I watched the entirety of the game. The Cardinals go into the game 7-0. They're at home against the 6-1 Packers at the time. Packers come out victorious 24-21 on an interesting final play of the game where Kyler Murray tries to hit AJ Green in the end zone. And really, if all AJ Green's got to do is turn around and it's a touchdown. But former Eagle Russell Douglas makes the interception. Game's over, 24-21 Packers. I got to say, Aaron Rodgers, while he looked very much like a game manager, he didn't look phenomenally great throughout most of this game. Arizona's defense kept him off balance. They were really getting to him and making it difficult, but Arizona could not stop the run to save their lives.
Yeah, no, I mean, without your 1 and 2 receivers, A.J. Dillon actually got more carries than Aaron Jones by 1, but that's because Aaron Jones kind of had to pull double duty. He was lined up outside a lot. I think he had 7 catches on 11 targets. That's what happens when Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard are out. You got to have to have a makeshift game plan, and Aaron Rodgers executed it almost to perfection. You said he was more like a game manager. I happened to catch some of the game, and that's exactly right. But what else can you expect him to do when you have talent like Adams out? And the chemistry is all weird because they were announced out pretty late in the week, so especially for a Thursday night game. However, going into the game with no Alan Lazard, no Devontae Adams, the undefeated,
No
Cardinals
Valdez.
in Arizona, and it's like you kind of figured the Packers were going to win that game because all the chips were stacked against them. And should they have won that game based on the last play? Probably not. But AJ Green isn't exactly, a veteran with Kyler Murray. It's his first year in Arizona, so they may not be on the same page all the time. And that was clearly, something Kyler Murray was looking for, a back shoulder, kind of fade route-ish, and AJ Green was not reading that at all. So that's a miscommunication on their part, and Packers come out victorious.
Yeah. Also, something to keep an eye on as the week goes forward. Kyler Murray was limping off the field very significantly at the end of that game, so something to keep an eye on there. Kyler Murray fantasy owners. You
and I talked about it, and we said we both agreed that Josh Allen was more valuable in fantasy because he could actually sustain 16, 17 games of getting hit. Kyler Murray's a small dude, man.
Yeah, and he just got rolled up on. It wasn't like it was a vicious hit. It wasn't like he planted wrong. He got rolled up on trying to run for a first down on the last drive of the game. And then after that happened, the Green Bay defense noticed it, and when he can't run and he's forced to rely on his arm, he's a completely different quarterback, and he's just not as effective. I'm not saying he's not effective; he's just not as effective.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Most running quarterbacks are. I'd say the only negative to that is Josh Allen, and that's because he has a rocket for an arm, but he's also a very large man. So.
All right, going into the 1 o'clock games. Again, I'm on the NFL Network. For those of you who want to follow along, these are the games in order. I've got the 5-2 Bengals visiting the joke of a Jets. Sorry, I meant the New York Jets.
It's going to get even worse too. No Zach Wilson, who wasn't playing lights out to begin with, but I trust him over Mike White or Joe Flacco.
Yeah, so I was about to say the Jets traded earlier in the week for Joe Flacco from the Philadelphia Eagles, but it's been announced that he's not the starter.
White is not even active.
Apparently, he's not even active. So White is the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. I don't expect it to be a close game, but because I don't expect it to be a close game, I'm calling it a 7-point victory by the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm playing 10 points.
It's going to be one of those trap games where the over under I think is like 11.5, and the Bengals just aren't going to cover, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, they're gonna spend a lot of the time, running out the clock and basically just getting the game over with. Because the Bengals in every way offensively, are better than the Jets are offensively. So this is going to be one of those games they kind of play conservatively. This would be one of those games where, you've starters that, come out with like these questionable to return injuries. They probably just don't come back because it's not worth it unless the game is relatively close, which I don't expect it to be. So I'd say about 10 to 14 points somewhere in there, but it's going to be a lot of Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, just burning out the clock. Hopefully a lot more Joe Mixon.
I agree with your assessment there. This game is going to be, for the Bengals, it's going to be all about getting out healthy. I know you say that about a lot of teams across the league and a lot of games, but like these trap games against teams that are definitely not supposed to be competing against you are all about coming out of this game healthy, because you got a division rivalry next week. I believe the Bengals play the Browns next week.
Yeah, I think they have something big next week too.
Yes. So game 2 on the docket is the division rival Titans, 5-2 Titans, going to visit the 3-4 Colts. The Colts have played better lately, and the Colts at home. I know we talked about this several times before the season started, and as the season has gone on, Carson Wentz is starting to find his rhythm in that offense. And as Eagles fans, we know that if Carson Wentz can find his rhythm and be confident in the offense that he's playing with, he can make things happen. Because it's a division game and it's in Indianapolis, and I know how well the Titans have played the last 2 weeks, but this is why I think the Colts could come out with a win, is because the Titans may have blown their juice on the last 2 games, beating Buffalo and then turning around and beating Kansas City. So I've got the Colts in a really, really close game. I'm talking field goal kick to win it, 24-23 type situation.
This is my game of the week because of all the things you just said. The Titans have, this monumentous momentum after beating Kansas City on the road, and they beat Buffalo the week before. Both very good teams. Obviously, that was the AFC Championship game last year. Riding, Derrick Henry for the most part. A.J. Brown played last week, but he didn't play the week before, so Derrick Henry's been getting his.
Julio Jones is out this week.
Yeah, Julio's out this week again. So Yeah, they have, they're sitting on their high horse. They have all the momentum in the world. But like you pointed out, the Colts aren't playing bad football either. And Carson Wentz has one turnover on the season. He's been sacked 2 times a game, maybe. That's it. 11 touchdowns to 1 interception, 13th in the league in quarterback rating. He's playing better than Ryan Tannehill is for the most part. So it's tough, but I will go home team here, just like you said, probably in a very close scenario. But this is my game of the week because the Titans could come out here and play smash mouth football with the Colts and beat them. This is going to be a good game, and it's going to be unpredictable in my eyes.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that the Colts are utilizing their running backs really, really well. Not so much Nyheim Hines, rather.
They're utilizing Jonathan Taylor well.
I was just going to get into that. Jonathan Taylor has been a monster the last 3 weeks. It's not coincidental that the Colts almost beat the Ravens and then they turn around and won 2 straight games. Jonathan Taylor has been a monster.
The Colts should have won that Ravens game too. They blew that one bad.
But that wasn't the offense. That's the defense.
I would say it's a little bit of both. It's kind of the Falcons Super Bowl thing, whereas like the offense failed to kind of get anything going at a certain point, and they really didn't help their defense out much. So
that's fair.
But I would say it's a little bit of both. But yeah, I'd agree. If I had to point one finger at a side of the ball, it's the defense.
But yeah, so like I said, Colts playing well. I got them winning a close game, 24-23. What was your score?
I'd probably go Colts close game, like 26-24, something like that.
Okay. So we're similar there. Next game, we don't got to spend a lot of time on it. The Rams are visiting the Texans. The Texans are a joke. I said the Jets were a joke, but the Texans are the real joke. Tyrod Taylor's still not playing this week. They said he's close to come back, but until he does,
he's activated off IR, but I think he's on the bench.
Correct. Davies Mills starts again. Honestly, the Texans will be close if they keep this game within 3 touchdowns. And I just don't see it. Stafford's going to put 4 touchdowns up. Darrell Henderson's going to run for a touchdown and probably catch a touchdown. Kupp and Woods probably both catch a touchdown. So I've got the Rams huge in this game.
Yeah, this isn't a trap game. The Rams are just significantly better than the Texans in every way possible, offensively, defensively, special teams even. It's not going to be close. 3 touchdowns is probably the correct score, but I'd even say more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a 28-point victory.
Yeah. A little bit of LA Rams news. Deshaun Jackson has requested a trade from the team, and the team has honored it. They are looking for an active trade partner. The trade deadline for the NFL is Tuesday at 4 p.m. Tuesday at 4 p.m. But again, Deshaun Jackson could possibly be on the move here in the next 3 days.
Speaking of trade targets, where do you think Allen Robinson ends up? Think he stays a Bear?
So I gave a lot of thought to this before. Once I got to the Bears, I was going to bring it up. So I'm glad you brought it up now, because the team that I think could possibly trade for him, we've already mentioned, and it was rumored.
Colts.
That's right, because it was rumored that Robinson wanted to play with Wentz when he was in Philadelphia. So now,
I've heard that same rumor, and without remembering that rumor, that was my first thought was, well, T.Y. Hilton's always hurt. Paris Campbell's out for the year. They could really use a number 1 receiver down there, and if they win this game, against Tennessee, there's a shot they could win the division. So go ahead and send Allen Robinson down there.
Yeah. So I do believe the Bears are in a sell mode because the Packers aren't gonna relinquish their lead on the division.
Especially with the way Justin Fields has played. And I get it, he's a rookie, he's only made a few starts, but he's looked like incredibly bad. And I don't give Matt Nagy credit for anything because he's overrated and kind of rode coattails of Andy Reid to a Super Bowl and like his next job. But he may have been onto something keeping Fields on the bench for a year, because there's no way Dalton would look this bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate for Andy Dalton that he got injured as quickly as he did, and also unfortunate for Justin Fields that he's been thrown literally into the fire. He had 1 decent game, but outside of that, he's been running for his life, and he's struggling to make. So, like we complain about Jalen Hurts every week. He struggles to go through his progression. I don't think they've even made plays for Justin Fields to have a progression. I think it's 1 and run, and he's got no room to run.
Yeah, the offensive line's been porous. It's not all on fields, but as a rookie, you kind of get happy feet when you get chased down every play. So, and without David Montgomery, and Khalil Herbert's played just fine, but without
Yes, he
David
has.
Montgomery in that backfield, it's a little bit of a mess. So, I wouldn't be shocked if Allen Robinson ended up a Colt by Tuesday, but he could go to a few other teams too.
Yeah. Trying to one of the other teams that I thought about, he maybe could go to Allen Robinson. That is, while we're sitting here talking about it, when they were in contention, I thought maybe the Panthers might pick him up, but as quickly as they were in contention, they fell out of contention. And we'll get into the Panthers and that thing that I sent you earlier in the text message because I really want to break that one down.
Yeah, I don't remember what you sent me, but
I
I'm
sent
sure.
it in a group with you and Jake. But yeah, we'll
Yeah.
go on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. I didn't read it, but I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know that was ever a spot for them. They have a pretty solidified number one wide receiver in DJ Moore. Robbie Anderson, they haven't utilized him a whole lot, but could definitely be a good complement to number two. And they just drafted Terrace Marshall. So I think it would have been a stretch for him to go to Carolina. But, I mean, they're out of contention now anyway, like you said. So
next game, Steelers visiting the Browns. It's a division rivalry game. The Browns are still really beat up. Baker is on pace to play.
is Chubb and Hunt going to play? Neither one of them were on IR, were they?
Neither of them went to the IR, no. But to my knowledge, Chubb has been practicing, but Hunt has not. So I believe Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield are both playing, but they're both still banged up. So I'm going to make it very stat line straight up. If Baker and Nick Chubb play, I've got the Browns and I've got them by a touchdown. If they do not play, I've got the Steelers winning by 5.
Okay, so Nick Chubb's and okay, so Nick Chubb is healthy. He has no injury designation. Kareem Hunt was placed on IR last week. So still, even with just Nick Chubb, go ahead and give me the Browns. But it'll be a close game. Say by 3 points maybe. Roethlisberger just doesn't have it anymore. That's kind of what it comes down to for me is he just can't play. And I know they've had a couple of upset victories where they scratched their head, but the Browns are a very good running football team with a very good offensive line as cue to Dearness Johnson running for 140 yards last week. And he'll go right back to the bench. So that's just kind of where I don't think Big Ben has the guns to get it done. And with Juju Smith-Schuster out for the year, Deontay Johnson, all eyes are on him. And without being able to push the ball downfield, it limits Claypool's usage in the offense as well. But Najee Harris is coming on very nicely.
Yeah, like I said, Baker healthy and Baker playing, I've got the Browns. Without that, I got nothing against Case Keenum. He did a great job against the Broncos last week. But I don't know. The offense struggled to move the ball at times outside of the Johnson running back who ran for 140 yards. The offense really struggled to move the ball. So if Baker's playing and Baker looks like partially Baker, I know he's got a broken bone and a torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder, which a lot of players would just not play. Baker putting it on the line there. So like I said, if Baker's playing, then I still got it as a close game. But
faith in your offensive line right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with your whole assessment. If Baker comes out and he looks decently healthy and Chubb comes out and looks decently healthy, then I go ahead and say Browns.
All right.
Detroit all the way. Detroit's winning this game. It is so hard to lose every game in the season, and if there's one team that Detroit can absolutely beat because they're in shambles, it's the Eagles. Go ahead and give me Detroit.
I'm with you. I am.
We've
discussed it in depth about how inept Jalen Hurts has been this season, and Nick Sirianni with the flower comments the other day. I know the players came out and said that they didn't mind that he called them flowers.
But I mean, they're soft like flowers, so.
I will say that I like the frustration that Fletcher Cox and Darius Slay have kind of they backed off of it after so their post game interview. They complained about how the prevent defense is all that John Gannon plays, and they didn't really like it. They said that in not so many words. And then they came back later in the week and they're like, no, that's not what we meant. We were just frustrated. We lost, blah, 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 blah. But it's pretty clear that including Nick Sirianni, the staff, the players don't have a lot of confidence in John Gannon right now in calling plays for the defense. And I mean, it's not just something that the players are not like. As a fan, you sit here and you watch this. Derek Carr, I'm not saying Derek Carr is a bad quarterback by any means necessary. However, they made him look elite last week. Elite. At one point, he threw 16 straight completions. He threw for 346 some odd yards, 3 touchdowns, and he was like 30 for 33. For a while there, the only incompletion he had in the game was a tip off of Josh Jacobs' interception early in the game, and that was on Josh Jacobs. It wasn't on Derek Carr. John Gannon, he's got to figure it out.
Without Darren Waller too.
Oh yeah, not to mention that their best player wasn't even on the field. John Gannon's got to get it. He's got to get this figured out.
Give me the Lions by 7 here. The offense of the Eagles is just so inept, and the defense, while the talent is there, they're just not. The scheme is awful. It's atrocious. It's embarrassing to watch. So go ahead and give me the Lions by 7, 24-17. The offense isn't going to get anything done. And quite frankly, I think Dan Campbell is a much better potential coach than Nick Sirianni is. Dan Campbell at least brings fire to his team. They seem to rally around him despite the fact that they haven't won a game yet. They at least play their hearts out. They play close games against teams they probably shouldn't. And yeah, go ahead and give me the Lions by 7 here. They're going to win at home.
So the only reason I say give me the Lions, and I'm going to say by 6, is because the Eagles have been able to score in garbage time in the fourth quarter the last 3 consecutive weeks. I think that pattern continues. The Eagles are down probably 24-3, 24-7. Going into the fourth quarter, they find a way to get some points. They lose by 6, maybe even 3 at that point. But I'm with you. If there's a team in the league for the Lions to beat, they're walking into Detroit tomorrow. And as an Eagles fan, it pains me to say that, but if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on the Lions here.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, so going to the Bears, we got the Niners visiting the Bears. 2-4 Niners visiting 3-4 Bears. Yes. Talk about a fall from grace for those 49ers, man.
They just play in a tough division, man. That NFC West is no joke, especially with Matthew Stafford there now. And Russell Wilson being out. This is what turned into a 4-horse race is now a 2-horse race.
Yeah. So anyway, you're taking words right out of my mouth, brother. Just keep right on doing it. So the Niners visiting the Bears. I also have the Bears. Probably by 3. Justin Fields probably does just enough to win. And as Ken just pointed out here, I say the Bears defense gets them a victory here.
Well, he said Niners, and I agree with him. I think the Niners win the game. I think the Bears have played a little bit lesser competition, and that's why their record shows they're a little bit better. But go ahead and give me the 49ers. I think they're just a better team.
I've got the Bears.
The Bears. That skit was so funny.
Actually the wife, getting off topic here, but sort of related. We have the best of Chris Farley on Amazon. We paid for it, and that's one of the top ones is the Da Bears situation. Da Bears. But yeah, so now I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. We're good. No, I mean, as you pointed out, they have played less competition, but they've been competitive in most games. Fields, fumble, and interception tomorrow.
I agree.
Even if he does have a fumble and an interception, that Niners offense has not moved the football since the Eagles game. And as a result, they have not won a game since the Eagles game. So I've still got the Bears at home taking the victory here. I'm saying by 3 points.
I'm going 17-14 Niners. I just think Justin Fields, has played bad against bad competition. I think he's going to play awful against the 49ers. And the 49ers are just a team that they've lost to teams that are just better than them. They're not bad. They're just getting beat by better teams.
Okay. 2 more 1:00 games. The next one is the 3-4 Panthers visiting. It's a division rivalry game. 3-4 Panthers visiting the 3-3 Atlanta Falcons, and I've got the Falcons in this one. The Falcons have played really good ball the last 3 weeks.
They're my surprise so far. I didn't think they'd be 3-3 at all.
Neither did I.
Especially after the way the Eagles trounced them in week 1. I was like, yep, they're a bad team.
I was just getting there. Yeah, 100%. But Matt Ryan has found ways to make plays and win games. And that's what you need out of a quarterback. Much unlike the Philadelphia Eagles right now, the Falcons quarterback is just getting it done. So yeah, I've got the Falcons, and I've got them probably winning by 7 here at home.
This is tough for me. The Panthers haven't won a game without Christian McCaffrey. So without having Christian McCaffrey for one more week. But I think the Falcons are a little bit smoke and mirrors. I'm going to go ahead and say Panthers on the road here by 3 points, maybe 4, 20-17, 21-17, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I think the Falcons are more smoke and mirrors than anything. If they beat the Panthers at home, I'll say they're a little bit more legit. But I think this is a bounce back game for Carolina. I think they go ahead and, finally figure this out. I think Sam Darnold getting benched last week is a wake up call for him. And I think that they utilize Robbie Anderson finally in a different way. So go ahead and give me the Panthers. Close game, though.
Okay. Another division rivalry game, 1:00 game. The Miami Dolphins at 1-6 visit the 4-2 Buffalo Bills. The Bills.
And the start of the 4:00 games, we have the Patriots and the Chargers.
Yeah.
Moving on to something I can talk about.
In case you guys didn't get that, the Bills are the team that we're both taking. Moving on.
Yep.
Go ahead, start the Patriots Chargers.
And just like they start at 1:00, that game also ends at 1:00. I'm going to go ahead, Patriots Chargers, in LA. Go ahead and give me the Chargers, although I'm not 100% confident in that one. Bill Belichick, being Bill Belichick, finds a way to shut opposing stars down. And while the Chargers have 2 legitimate receivers, quarterbacks tend to struggle against Bill Belichick. But I'm going to go ahead and say Chargers anyway. I think Herbert is the best quarterback in that draft class last year by a significant margin. I think he should have been the number 1 overall, but that's just me. I've been talking about him since his sophomore year at Oregon. Dude's a beast, cannon for an arm, can run. It makes all the great plays. As a rookie, he led the NFL in passer rating against the blitz. So it's not just arm strength and luck.
The 5,000 yards he threw.
Yeah, Mike Williams, has shown out this year with the new offensive coordinator. They put him in a new role, and he's played it to perfection. Keenan Allen's still there, not making as much of an impact, but he can if he needs to. So go ahead and give me the Chargers. Close game by 3 at home, 2017, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay, so I'm also going Chargers in this, but I'm just as hesitant as you are. Like you said, the Patriots played Dallas really well 2 weeks ago in Denver, or in Dallas. Dallas is a good team.
Yeah.
It hurts me to say that Dallas is a good team, but Dallas is a good team. And as a result, it made me kind of sort of open my eyes to what the New England Patriots are, and they're still figuring it out. Mac Jones is obviously a rookie quarterback; he's still figuring it out. But that team isn't as bad as their 3-4 record shows. So while I am going Chargers, I'm going close Chargers, like 3-point game Chargers. And again, the Patriots, if they lose this, it'll be a high scoring game. And if they lose it again in like a last minute situation like they did against Dallas, once again, it'll open my eyes to what the Patriots really are.
They're not putting Mac Jones in positions to fail. They're letting him grow in an offense that he can succeed in. And he's a rookie, so he's not, he's going to struggle a little bit, and that's fine. You kind of expect that. But unlike the Bears with Justin Fields, they're not putting him in a position to fail. They're doing their best to help him succeed and help him grow.
Yeah, which is huge for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, but they just offensively, they're not going to go stride for stride with the Chargers. I just don't think they have it in them.
We got a throwaway game here.
I think Austin Eckler being out plays a huge role too. I think he's still questionable at this time. They haven't done anything with him. I think he's trending toward out, but if he plays, that's also a big factor. So that's another reason why I'm hesitant.
If Eckler plays, it's not as close of a game. At least that's how I feel about it. If Eckler's playing, I don't think it's a 3-point game. I think it's like a 7 to 10 point game.
I could see 7.
Teddy Belcher, 4K Ultra Worldwide. We are about talking sports. In general, we're from the Philly area. We do kind of sort of harp on the Eagles a little bit. However, we talk sports in all capacities. So thanks for joining. We talk about the Eagles losing to the 0-7 Lions because we're an embarrassment. Because we did, in fact, talk about that, yes. Anyway, this next game is a game that thankfully I'll be at work for. I won't have to tune into it. It's going to be terrible. Jaguars at Seahawks. 1-5 Jags visiting the 2-5 Seahawks. The only thing I could say out of this is at least we get to watch Trevor Lawrence hopefully progress a little bit further in his career. Urban Meyer is a joke. I can't believe the Jaguars gave him as big of a contract as they did. That's going to be a hot topic in the offseason. Like I said last week, I don't think you ever fire a coach after one season. But Urban Meyer is not supporting what I said last week about not firing coaches after one season.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Jags in this game. For some inconceivable reason, Trevor Lawrence isn't playing out of his mind, which he shouldn't. He's a rookie, but somehow, some way, unlike the Eagles quarterback, this young quarterback is finding a way to beat the bad schemes and the bad coaching, and he's actually playing decent ball.
He is. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree with you. I also have the Jags here. I don't care that the Seahawks are home. Geno Smith isn't getting it done.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me the Jags by 3. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like 17-14, though, low-scoring game. I just don't think I don't think the Seahawks have the offensive firepower without Geno Smith. I mean, last week they're one big play away from pretty much being shut out.
Yeah. No, yeah. Other than the half that he played for Russell Wilson when he got injured in that Monday night game, Geno Smith hasn't shown me anything. And as a result, I'm not confident in the Seahawks. Pete Carroll can do whatever he wants, but they're not winning this game.
Yeah, their defense will keep them close, but their offense won't keep up.
Yeah, exactly. I got the Jaguars probably winning by 7 in Seattle.
I wouldn't say that much. Still some growing pains over there, but I mean, Chris Carson on IR, probably done for the year. Russell Wilson, looking less and less likely that it's going to be 4 weeks and closer to 8, just due to the fact that they'll probably keep him on the sideline as long as they can. Go ahead and give me the Seahawks. Their offense, speaking, they're up there with inept.
425 game. One of the 2 425 games this week. There's 2 of them. You got the Washington football team. I almost said the wrong thing there. Washington football team at 2-5 visiting the 3-4 Broncos. Those 3-4 Broncos haven't won a game in 4 games. Teddy Bridgewater has looked lost at times. The defense can't stop the run. And as a result, they're 3-4 after a 3-0 start to the season. I've got the Washington football team and Tyler Heineke going up there and getting the victory here. I'm thinking maybe a 6-point game, but give me the Washington football. Taylor?
Oh, I thought you said Tyler. I was like, what?
I may have, but obviously his name is Taylor Heineke, whatever it is. But yeah, anyway, either way, Heineke. We said Heineke last week. But yeah, I got Washington by 6. Apparently, Ken also has Washington by 6.
Yeah, the Broncos just have no momentum in their favor, 3-0 and then 0-4. The fact that they lost to the Browns last week in the fashion that they did is atrocious. They didn't have Baker Mayfield or 2 of their top running backs. They got steamrolled. They got punched in the mouth. And I think that the Washington football team comes out here and does the same thing. I'd expect big games from both Antonio Gibson and JD because, quite frankly, and even Heineke can run himself. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out there and has, 60, 70 yards rushing on the ground, maybe a touchdown. Go ahead and give me Washington by about 6 on the road here.
Yeah, same page there. The actual America game of the week, not Ryan's America game of the week, is the 6-1 Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions, visiting the New Orleans Saints at 4-2. The 4-2 Saints, I don't think they're a smokescreen. I know we've said that a couple of times in this episode. I believe that they're a legitimate 4-2. Having said that, they also haven't played real tough competition like the Buccaneers. So I think while I do believe if Jameis Winston plays out of his mind against his former team, the Saints have an opportunity to win. I still think the defense shuts him down, and I also believe the Buccaneers come out on top. Tom Brady probably throws 3 touchdowns because that seems to be his average this season. And Antonio Brown's not playing, but Rob Gronkowski is, which is a huge red zone target for Tom Brady, which just makes it easier on him to throw touchdowns. He's averaging 3 a game, and now he gets his biggest target in the red zone back. So yeah, give me the Buccaneers, and I'm saying Buccaneers probably by 7, 31-24 situation.
Buccaneers, and I'm going to go bigger than that. I'm going to go by 10. Here's the synopsis of how I think this game's going to go. The Saints squeaked out a win on the road against a Russell Wilson-less and Chris Carson-less Seahawks. They barely beat them. They won by 3. And the Buccaneers on opening night of the football season got wildly outplayed by the Cowboys and still beat them. So these teams, while their records show that they're both good teams, and I do believe that the Saints are a legitimate 4-2, the Bucs are also a legitimate 6-1, and there's a reason that they're 6-1. So go ahead and give me Tampa in this game. I just think that they're a better team all the way around. Defense is better, offense is better. I'm not saying the Saints have bad either, but Bucks just outmatch them everywhere.
I think part of the reason I give this to the Bucks is because I think Todd Bowles finds a way to really bottle up Alvin Kamara, and if he doesn't get going, that team doesn't get going. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. No Michael Thomas still, so we don't know when he's coming back. And Traquan Smith was non-existent. His opener, Marquez Callaway, has not turned out to be the receiver that everybody thought he would after a great training camp and preseason. So Alvin Kamara, the only real threat in that offense right now, and I think Todd Bowles, they're the best team against the run for the last 3 years. So Alvin Kamara is going to be utilized a little bit differently if they want to have success from him.
Yeah. The 8:20 game, Sunday Night Football, 5-1 Cowboys visiting the 3-3 Vikings. Dak Prescott is a game-time decision.
That's huge. The prediction's right there. If Dak doesn't play, Cowboys aren't going to win.
Exactly. So right now, for me, watching the whole NFL and everything that's going on, not only is Dak Prescott probably the comeback player of the year, but he's got to be top 3 in MVP voting, in my opinion. Again, I'm trying to be super, unbiased here because I'm an Eagles fan, obviously. So talking highly of the Cowboys is actually difficult for me. I struggle with it. But Dak Prescott, what he's been able to do, at the beginning of the season or before the season even started, you and I had an entire show about the Eagles and the NFC East. And we talked about Dak Prescott getting that big contract. And I said very specifically, that's a lot of money to give a guy when you don't know what his leg can do. Well, he's been a little hesitant to run, which is, as you get older, you do that anyway, but he's found ways to win without utilizing that aspect of his game. And he's going to get that back. The more confidence he built on that leg, he's going to get it back. I know he's got a calf strain right now. But for me, Dak Prescott, if he's on the field, that Cowboys team is a very good Cowboys team. And if he's on the field, they probably beat the Vikings by 14 or more points.
I don't think that.
I do. And if he's not on the field, I think they lose by 10 to 14 points.
I don't think either. This is a touchdown game either way. I think without Dak, this is going to be one of those trap games. Although Cooper Rush is not all that, they do have legitimate threats everywhere. Zeke and Tony Pollard in the backfield. They can definitely utilize the run game. They have CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, good receivers on the outside to help Cooper Rush get through. Dalton Schultz has been out of his mind this year, so the Cowboys have legitimate.
Jarwin has been solid as well.
Yeah, so the Cowboys have legitimate weapons. The Vikings do too, and Kirk Cousins is healthy. But in Minnesota, I'm going to assume Dak doesn't play this game because it's a non-divisional game. I know it's a conference game, and it might matter down the road, but I think that the Cowboys this early on kind of have a handle on this division. So I think they'll let him sit this one, and even if they lose, they fall to 5-2, which nobody's going to catch them. Let's be real. The rest of the NFC East is looking like top 10 picks. So I assume Dak doesn't play, and I'm going to go ahead and say Vikings by 10. If Dak plays, I think I'm going to go Cowboys by 3 just because they're on the road here, and the Vikings defense has played a lot better this year. It's just, can Dalvin Cook make it through the whole game? Really, he's missed parts of a couple games here already. So
all right.
That's actually a decent comment, Allen Robinson to the Saints. What about a Michael Thomas for Allen Robinson swap? Because Michael Thomas doesn't seem to want to be in New Orleans either. Makes sense for the players. I don't think it makes sense for either team.
Yeah, that's what I was. So while Robinson isn't exactly excited to be in Chicago, but he hasn't come out and said that, but he's like shown frustrations with the team and how the organization is being run. Michael Thomas has done the same thing with the Saints. He doesn't think that Jameis Winston was the answer. I think
on which side?
I would assume the Bears get a pick because Thomas hasn't played this year. At least Robinson's been on the field.
Yeah, but Robinson's tanked his value.
Well, Thomas not playing also tanks his value.
I think a trade like that, honestly, you'd have to be straight up.
And if it's a straight up trade, then no, I don't think it happens.
Yeah, I can't see a move like that happening, and I don't. Just doesn't make much sense to me, but it could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't.
Yeah, but, anything can happen in the NFL, but I don't see a Michael Thomas for Allen Robinson straight up pick, and that's what I was going to say. So I don't think Robinson goes to the Saints strictly because Michael Thomas is scheduled to come back in 2 weeks. And I don't, as of right this second, there's nobody on the, hey, let me kick the door down and trade for Michael Thomas situation. And I think that's why he hasn't played yet. So once he's not traded, I think he comes back maybe next week, maybe the week after. I know they're saying his ankle isn't ready yet. I don't buy it. I think it's just because he doesn't want to play.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 about that. I think his ankle isn't ready, but I also think because he did get that surgery very late due to the fact that the Saints didn't want him to get surgery. However, at this point, I think he's mentally, kind of milking it a little bit. Like he could probably be on a limited basis practice at this point, but he's just not going to.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't see a trade like that coming up.
I could see Allen Robinson just going to the Saints, though, being traded for picks or pick or something like that. But and that would make that offense lethal in about 2 weeks. Imagine a healthy Michael Thomas with Allen Robinson with a competent quarterback.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That would be intimidating to look at as a defensive minded coach. But I don't think that's going to be the scenario. I still think the Colts are the best landing spot for Robinson. Having said that, the Colts also aren't out of my running to get Michael Thomas either. I'm not saying they'll get them both, but
if
because
they get a legitimate number one receiver, I think they'll win the AFC South.
They have a much better shot at it with a legitimate number one. Yeah. That's not named Tyreek Hill.
T.Y. Hilton.
T.Y. Hilton. Wrong team completely.
You were close, man. I know.
Speaking of Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs get to play the Giants on Monday night.
Yeah. Anyway,
look, the Chiefs haven't exactly
practice on Monday. That's good.
Say that again.
The Chiefs get an extra practice on Monday. That's good for them.
Yeah, the Chiefs haven't exactly looked great. I know they came out and they beat the Eagles, but they beat the Eagles in a shootout. Their defense wasn't stopping them, and we've already seen in other games defenses stop the Eagles perfectly fine.
The Chiefs defense couldn't stop a glacier if they wanted to.
Fortunately for them, the Giants aren't a glacier. Saquon Barkley's already been labeled out. Darius Slayton is still questionable. And Daniel Jones, great catch for him last week, running a route. But he hasn't lived up to, his hype as a starting quarterback after a first-round pick. So
a top 10 pick nonetheless. They traded up to get him.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about the trading up part to get him. So I've still got the Chiefs here, especially since they're in Arrowhead. The Chiefs offense is still going to score. The Giants defense isn't. I'm thinking a 14-point game here. Chiefs
as much like slack as Mahomes has gotten this year, I very distinctly remember at least 2, if not 3, of his interceptions going directly off his receiver's hands. T.Y. Hilton has let 2, or not T.Y. Hilton. You got me saying the wrong one now. Tyreek Hill has let 2 go straight through his hands right into the defenders.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's unlike Tyreek Hill. So it's. While Mahomes' numbers don't look great, it's not all on him. And the offensive line hasn't exactly played great the last few weeks either.
How do you feel about what Mahomes' mom said? If the ball is thrown to the receiver and it's a catchable ball and it goes through their hands and it's intercepted, should it be a drop/fumble on the receiver, or should it still be an interception on the quarterback?
I think in today's day and age, they have to find a way to rework that because most players get paid off their numbers. Look at guys like Kirk Cousins, who we know aren't great quarterbacks, but they put up these gaudy numbers like he did in Washington. That's how he got that deal with, Minnesota. And then in Minnesota, he's put up pretty gaudy numbers last couple of years. He got another big extension, and we know he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but he puts up good numbers. Mahomes has put up elite numbers. Derek Carr, has put up good numbers over the last few years. You get paid on your numbers anymore nowadays. It's all about a statistical error. So the fact that these interceptions keep getting pinged on Mahomes, not that he has to worry about getting a contract extension anytime soon, but just the general premise of people getting paid off their numbers. Well, if you're out here making my numbers look worse than they actually are, like that's not my fault.
Yeah. So you're kind of in agreement with what his mom said. They need to find a way to rework it.
Yeah. And you can't obviously call it a fumble because the rules are, black and white on what a fumble is, but they're like an asterisk next to interceptions or like at fault interceptions,
I like the at fault interception situation. We should bring that up to the league.
Yeah, and obviously, I'm sure agents and whatnot already negotiate stuff like that when it comes to contracts. Like, hey, look back at this film. You say through 10 interceptions, this dude had 2. Like this 2 has, 2 interceptions at least that aren't his fault. So,
you understand that?
No,
copy that. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think something about it should get reworked.
All right. You want to talk Eagles for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Because our talk about Eagles always lasts 1 minute.
You want to just talk about how bad they've been, or how do you want to do this?
No, go ahead. Give me something to build off of.
Miles Sanders hits the IR today. They have yet to announce that Jordan Howard is coming off of the practice squad to take over.
Already.
Have they? Because I haven't seen it.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so he's actually on the active roster.
I think so.
Okay.
Outside of Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell, they don't have any other running backs. So,
which is understandable. But so here's my thing: Kenny Gainwell isn't a between the tackles running back. Boston Scott isn't really a good between the tackles running back. Do you think that the running back starting on Sunday tomorrow should be Jordan Howard?
No.
Okay. Mostly because they don't run the ball anyway, right? So
yeah, it doesn't really matter. They seem to utilize, their running backs more in the short pass game, which Jordan Howard is not great at. However, this is a dude who's been on, who's been cut twice by the same team the last 2 years. He hasn't been a starting running back in years, and they drafted Kenny Gainwell in the 5th round for a reason. So go ahead and make Gainwell the starter, make Boston Scott the spell man, and keep Jordan Howard for goal line situations. That's how I feel. But I believe Kenny Gainwell can run between the tackles, not because of the sides, but because of how hard he runs.
Maybe he'll show us that I keep saying Sunday, tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe, all 7 carries that the coach allows him to get.
We've hammered that nail several times, Sirianni. It just frustrates me that they don't. We don't know our identity yet. Well, you don't know your identity yet because you're the one calling the plays and you haven't figured out what you want to do yet. Yeah. He's worse. In my opinion, he's worse. Not in my opinion. I think it's professionally sound across the league right now. He's worse than Doug Peterson, where Doug Peterson would get behind and not run the ball. He just chooses not to run the ball.
I would kill to have Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz back. I would murder somebody for it.
And we know how bad they were last year and the whole animosity with the Carson Wentz situation and everything. But look at what Carson Wentz is doing in Indianapolis right now.
To have Frank Reich and Carson Wentz back. You could bring me either combo of those people, Doug Peterson, Jim Schwartz, or Carson Wentz and Frank Reich, and I would kill for that. I would be totally okay.
Yeah, I'm in for that too. I don't know what my camera just did. That was weird. Okay.
I'm also doing what you're doing.
That's weird. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, we've beat this pinata with a stick week in and week out. We talked a little bit about John Gannon and how his defense is inept. Darius Slay obviously is an excellent man-to-man coverage corner. They're running way too much prevent, cover 2, no man-to-man situation. Safeties aren't good enough to cover. Safeties are having a hard time with zone defense. And I said this before, Steven Nelson on the opposite side of Darius Slay, very good man-to-man corner, and yet they're still playing all this zone defense, and they're getting burned for it. Like I said, they made Derek Carr look elite last week. Tom Brady is a good quarterback, so him torching them, obvious. The week before that, Patrick Mahomes.
No surprise.
The week before that, Dak Prescott. I get it. They've played some really good quarterbacks, and I understand that, but you got to adjust. You got to find a way to try and be competitive with these teams. The scores of these last couple of games have not really been indicative of how the game has gone. You're talking you only lose by 6 to the Buccaneers, who led you 28-7 going into the fourth quarter. You kind of sort of hang with the Chiefs until the fourth quarter, and Tyreek Hill pops off for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. And even in the game last week against you lose by 9 points or 11 points or whatever it was, but that game was never close. You gave up 30 straight points unanswered. Your offense didn't do anything to help you. Your defense was on the field for 45 minutes. These are recipes to look like the 0-7 Lions are about to beat you.
Yeah, no, and I think it's funny. The week before the Panthers game, John Gannon came out and said it's not always appropriate to have your number one cornerback shadow their number one receiver. And then Slay comes out and intercepts 2 passes intended for DJ Moore. So I don't know what he meant by that, and I don't know in what scenario you shouldn't be shadowing. Mike Evans, 2 catches for 27 yards. Slay should be on your number one receiver all the time. Now against the Lions, It's kind of hard for him. He doesn't generally cover tight ends at all, so I don't think that he'll be shadowing Hawkinson. But he probably, I don't even know, outside of Khalif Raymond, maybe he'll shadow him. I don't know. But
Yeah, Williams
maybe
against
the Lions, he shouldn't shadow their best receiver because their number one receivers are like number 3s and 4s on everybody else's team. But
yeah, Williams is still hurt, right?
yeah, Tyrell Williams is still on IR.
Okay.
But
it's tough to be an Eagles fan right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Go Flyers.
Yeah, go Flyers.
That's going to do it for us because my battery's about to die.
Well, it's been fun. Thanks for everybody who chimed in. Teddy Belcher, nice to have you join us there a little bit. Dad, as always, it's good to have you. And yeah, join us next week. We're going to try and keep it consistent. Saturday nights we'll fluctuate between 6 and 7 p.m. depending on mine and Ryan's availability. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, a little bit on Instagram. I'm still working on it. We have a website. It's attached to our Facebook and our Twitter. Please visit it. We have a couple of articles that we've written in the past. We're going to start writing some more here in the near future. But yeah, please, all the stuff you guys can give it. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a special announcement for next week.
Yeah, well, we have a surprise for next week. We're not announcing anything.
All right. Well, we're doing our show on Friday night. That's the
Yeah. We're doing our show Friday night. That's the only change here, right? Right after Bill says we're going to do it Saturdays between 6 and 7 p.m. We're going to announce that we're doing it Friday next week.
Well, usually we're doing it.
We're
Saturday.
keeping you guys on your toes. So tune in Friday. We have a surprise for you.
We have a huge surprise for you on Friday. Can't wait to get that squared away for us. And yeah, let's go Eagles, even though the Lions are going to win.
Go Flyers. They play tonight and tomorrow.
Go Flyers. Go Braves. Go Braves.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
Night.